And hello. This is episode 7. Pretty crazy. 70% the way done with my goal. Should pretty easily pass by that goal. But I wanted to set some kind of concrete goal, make it attainable. I'm halfway through my semester at school, which is pretty crazy. So far it's going pretty well. No major issues. I did my race, which is super awesome. Academically, everything's going well. I'm enjoying my classes. Everything's good. I'm got an internship on campus. It's everything's been good school wise. And then I'll just give little random updates. I'm reading 2 books. The first one is Eat and Run. It's by Scott Jurek, who's a very extremely successful ultramarathon runner. And the second one, I'm not even going to try to pronounce the guy's name, but he's a monk, and it's a compilation of a lot of his teachings, which has been very interesting so far. It's a very, very small book. I'm not going to even try to pronounce his name, but I'll put it in the description of the episode probably. Then show-wise, TV, I'm watching Attack on Titan with my girlfriend. And then on my own, I'm watching Vinland Saga and Adventure Time. All animated shows. I feel like I've been trying to avoid shows, just shows that are real. I feel like TV should be a space where I shouldn't be relating to stuff, if that makes sense. I don't know if this philosophy is stupid or not. But it just it feels like it's more of an escape if it's animated. And it feels I don't know, it's less stressful, and I just want TV to be less stressful. I want less shows about negativity, and I just want fun. I want, I love a good story, but I just don't want anything to be, sad or super negative. Adventure Time was a show that ran on Cartoon Network. I don't really know how old I was when I was watching it. Pretty young, I honestly don't know how old I was, but I could probably do the math. I'd look up when it came out, but I feel like it was 2010 to 2016-ish. I think the show is awesome. It's very interesting. I'm sure most people listening to this probably don't know what it is, because a lot of people are just that are listening are probably my parents. We probably saw it on the TV when we were kids, and probably were this is stupid, but it's a good show. And there's a ton of episodes, and I'm on season 5. And season 5 is 56 episodes, which is absurd. Last weird little update. I had locked in my Halloween costumes. For my group costume with my friends, we were at Toy Story. I'm Ham, the piggy bank. Very exciting stuff. And then for my couples costume with my girlfriend, we are Voldemort and Harry Potter. Controversial one. Spoiler, I am Voldemort. I actually tried on my bald cap earlier, and it's awful. But I'm excited. And then this week I'm back to a normal-ish running schedule. I'm gonna keep it light, but I'm gonna start my schedule of sorts. I don't have anything that I'm training for right now. This is exactly 2 weeks and 2 days after my race. I had a little bit of a rocky last week or so. I just started too early, too much last week. So on Monday, the previous week I'd been dealing with a little bit of injury, just a little bit of slight pain and slight soreness in this one spot on my right foot. And Monday, I think I was just too excited, and I went out there and I did an 8-mile big run. First 2 miles, little bit of pain, a 2 or 3 out of 10. Should have stopped. But I pushed through it, and then by mile 3, it went away. And I finished the run. It was an 8-mile, just bad. Shouldn't have done it. I think I was just too excited. And then came back, no pain, but then later that day, extreme pain, like a 6 or 7 out of 10. Could barely walk. Then just got super sad about it and super angry about it, and was this can't keep happening. I can't keep injuring myself, and I just felt really sad, and it sucked. But then I was sulking. I was being a little bit baby. But then I kind of just remembered this quote, and I feel like quotes usually save me. It was like a David Goggins quote. I don't know the exact quote, but he basically says like, because like he's been through so many injuries, he's basically like, if I could never run again, I will just put that same level of focus into something else. And obviously that's hard because I love running and I don't really love any other forms of workout. But I decided I would be put my full focus towards, well, obviously I'd be trying to maintain my cardio with biking, but then trying more yoga and more stretching because it's something that I'm bad at and I want to get good at. And then I also, another connection to it was just like realizing that there was no point being sad about it, because so I was just like hanging out with my girlfriend and I was kind of just being the worst, like just being like very like quiet, and I wasn't being like rude, but I was just being quiet and sad. And I was like, we're hanging out, like I should be happy. I'm hanging out with my girlfriend, I'm hanging out with the girl I love, and I shouldn't be sad, and I shouldn't let this running thing like take over me. And I think it's just not letting, obviously I love being a runner and I love saying I'm a runner and I love running, but it shouldn't be the thing that defines me, and it shouldn't be able to have such a hold on me. And yeah, so that's why I'm gonna, over these next couple of weeks, like I'm still gonna run a decent amount, but I'm gonna keep things not super intense. Just like get that base level back and keep myself strong and healthy. And yeah, I mean, there's no point being sad about it, because any day could be my last day, and it could be the last day I spend with someone else, and I would never want my last day to be just me being sad over something that I can't even control. But luckily now I actually ran this morning. I took the whole last week off. Very proud of myself, because traditionally I wouldn't do that. But intense rehab, just like self rehab, stretching routine, ice, heat, Advil, rolling it out, a lot of stretching, a lot of, like, I'd be walking, I would bike, just like anything I could do that was low impact, but keeping it moving. I think active recovery, even in injury, is still good, as long as it's not a super intense injury. But now that I'm good, I ran this morning, did a 5 mile run, nice and easy, and feel no pain now, none at all. Promise I'm not lying. And I think this little injury hiccup is just giving me that little bit of a reminder to shore up my weaknesses, and that my weaknesses are foot strength and leg strength, so I'm definitely going to be working on that. And then also stretching. My flexibility is terrible. I'll get more into that after, but yeah, it was a little lesson that I learned, and I'm thankful that this lesson wasn't more painful and it didn't leave me out for 3 months like my previous injury. So yeah, I just need to be more mindful about that, and be more, think big picture, and be like, okay, it's fine. I can take 2 weeks off because it'll help me stay healthy for the next 6 months. I need to be able to take that sacrifice. Next section, I've been taking this psychology of sleep class, and I have, at the end of it, there's like an appendix, like 12 tips for healthy sleep. Oh, and this book is Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker. There's just credits. I'm going to go over all the sleep tips, just because I feel like if people are listening might be interested. Then I'm going to like kind of review it for myself for each as I go. And then I guess if you're listening to this, you can be like, oh, I wonder if I did as well. So some of this I'll be reading directly from, but I'll probably just be like kind of skimming it. The first one is stick to a sleep schedule. He basically suggests just going to bed and waking up at the same exact time every day, so your body gets used to it. So you can kind of build that habit. The big thing, which is obviously a challenge for most people, is like weekends. He says you should be getting up and going to bed at the same time on weekends. Obviously, this isn't realistic for most people. But I think a big thing I learned is that like you can't just like sleep deprive yourself during the week and then try to like win back that sleep by extra sleeping on the weekends. It doesn't work. Losing the sleep during the week is way more impactful, and you can't just catch it. It's not just like a little debt system. But he also suggests like setting an alarm for bedtime, at least being like winding down kind of thing. Yeah. He basically says like this is the most important tip of all, which is probably the hardest tip of all. But next one just says like don't exercise late in the day. Leave at least 2 to 3 hours before bedtime, like before working out intensely. Next he says avoid. Oh, wasn't even reviewing these for myself. I'll go back. For the sleep routine, I'm pretty good during the week, but once again, like weekends, it's hard because like I'm not gonna not enjoy myself and have fun I will still, like, if I'm going to bed later, I'll still get my 7 to 8 hours, sometimes 9 hours. But it's like, it's not in that same schedule. Like, it's not like I'm going to deprive myself. Like, I'm always going to get my sleep, but it's not in the same time and not the same schedule. Exercise one, I'm also good with. I always exercise in the morning. Next one is avoid caffeine and nicotine. Yes, this also. I'll have a coffee like once every like month. Don't have soda. Stuff like that. He basically says like it takes up to 8 hours to wear off fully. I think it might even take like 6 to 8 hours for it to like its half life. Basically just like don't have coffee in the afternoon. And then nicotine is just bad in general. Then next, avoid alcoholic drinks before bed. It's basically funny, like the idea that like technically day drinking is better for you because the drinks will wear off, which is just funny as a concept. But like basically like drinking like puts you in this like, it kind of like sedates you. Like you think it like helps you sleep, but it really just like sedates you and it gives you really, really bad sleep. Yeah. And then the next one, for that one, obviously I drink alcohol. Try not to be too intense with it, and also just like if I do drink a decent amount, just chugging water and getting a lot of water in before I go to bed. Next is avoiding large meals and beverages late at night. I used to be really bad with snacking at night. Wasn't even bad for my sleep, but just bad for my like health. Like I felt worse about myself. And then also just like if you drink too much at night, you have to get up and pee, and it can make your sleep worse. And then for older people, having to get up in the middle of the night to pee is a big cause for injury. Alright, next. If possible, avoid medicines that delay or disrupt your sleep. This one's really hard because he basically says like a lot of heart, blood pressure, asthma medications, a lot of even over-the-counter stuff can disrupt your sleep. But he basically says like consult with your doctor or pharmacist to like just talk about how it could impact your sleep, and if you're having insomnia, then like look at your medicines first. Next is don't take naps after 3 p.m. Basically it can help for lost sleep, but if you sleep too late, it's gonna harm you being able to sleep later at night. For the medicine one, I don't take any medicine that impact that. I don't take naps after 3 p.m. I occasionally really take naps, not really often. I want to get better about it, which I'll talk about in up to 2 minutes. But then 8, relax before bed. Don't overschedule your day so there's no time left for unwinding. I think I'm pretty good at this. I kind of front load my day with homework and classes. So as I get later in the day, I try not to really do homework at night. If I am, I'll just do a little bit. Next one, just take a hot bath before bed. Basically, it drops your body temperature after getting out of the bath, which will help you feel sleepy. I think this is I don't follow this one at all. I don't think I need to. But maybe if you're struggling with actually getting to sleep, it could help. This next one I think is the hardest one for most people. Dark bedroom, cool bedroom, gadget-free bedroom. Dark bedroom, great, easy. Cool bedroom, easy. Gadget-free bedroom, hard. I think I want to be able to do this, but it is very difficult. Because even just like watching TV before bed is bad. Being on my phone before bed is bad. So I definitely want to work on this. Next is have the right sunlight exposure. Basically like getting out in the daylight early, natural sunlight. And then as you wind down later in the day, just have less light in your bedroom, and especially like blue light. This next one is very interesting. He says don't lie in bed awake. If you find yourself still awake after staying in bed for more than 20 minutes, or if you feel anxious or worried, you should get up and do some relaxing activity until you feel sleepy again. I think this one is kind of strange. I don't really have experience with it, but like I can't really think of an activity that like, because like to me, like if I get up and start doing an activity, my brain is turning back on, my body's turning back on. Like I don't know, it'd have to be like the right activity. Like it would have to be like knitting or something, but like that requires like a little bit of concentration. No, like I don't know. But I think I get really good sleep. I think everything is pretty solid. I'd give myself like an A- if I'm going on his scale, because I always get my 8 hours. I'm pretty vigilant about it, especially because for recovery, for running, and just for life in general. But some steps I want to take, I want to explore more like the red light, blue light glasses, just to see if it would help me, because I do end up looking at screens a lot later at night. But then it is tying into that. Like, I want to spend less time looking at a screen before bed. Even just if it's a half hour, just doing no screens for half hour. Then yoga nidra, which I've been like, I did a little bit in class, and I know my mom does it and she loves it. But I'll talk more about this when I try it more. But basically, it's kind of like a guided meditation that's like kind of like a nap, and it has awesome, like, there's awesome talk about it, and it seems very, very interesting. And then I do this now. I just started doing this now, but reading before bed, even a couple pages, just to just to not be looking at a screen, really. Next, my next topic. This is kind of an interesting one, maybe unexpected for some people. I'm sure everyone listening probably knows this about me, but I've been social media free for 6 months, which is pretty interesting. I've been free, like, I haven't had TikTok in like 4 years, but social media free basically for me just kind of entails of Instagram. And I haven't had YouTube on my phone for like, maybe like a month, 2 months. I just did that just because I kind of want to do it as an experiment. But the primary of all this, of social media for me was Instagram. Why did I do it? I felt like I was spending too much time, and like, especially like when I was like in the bathroom, like I would just end up like scrolling on my phone, or like when I'm walking, like kind of like just like filling gaps in my day with the phone, using it as like I've heard the term like a digital pacifier, and being like, when you feel awkward, like take out your phone. Like when I get to class, like, why am I getting to class and just scrolling on my phone? Like, why? Like, I wanted to just be more intentional with my phone. Reflections on that. I definitely felt some FOMO at first, which I think is natural. Just like the idea of like, oh, like, what if I'm missing something? But like, in reality, I'm not missing anything. And then, overall, like, I feel like I've had definitely less screen time, less phone time, which is good. But then when I am, like, it's not like I'm anti-phone, but like I am on my phone. Probably, I'm on my phone a decent amount, but it's mostly just like texting and like playing Clash of Clans, which I just much prefer. I know some people will be like, oh, like, you're playing games on your phone, it's the same social media. To me, it's not. Obviously, I could have this argument all day. But it's whatever you like. I'm not going to judge anyone. I think social media is cool. Like, I think it's great. But I think I was just kind of experimenting with it. I think it just like scares me as a concept, because like how much time you're sinking into it, and how like it doesn't mean anything, which I guess can also tie into video games. Like when I play Clash of Clans, I get joy because I can get like progression, and like I'm playing with my friends, and obviously, like, to each their own, and to a lot of people it probably seems like a huge waste. But yeah, and then like, I don't know, like the whole social media discussion of like, is it bad? Like, oh my gosh, is it evil? Like, I don't think so. I don't think it's bad, big picture. I think it has some bad things. I think it shouldn't be allowed for little kids. I think it should be like, I don't know, 16 or 18 plus would be great. Obviously, it'd be pretty hard to regulate because every kid has a phone anyway. But yeah, I think ideally I should reach a balance of just like having it installed but rarely using it. It's just like, I know I want to build the habit before, and just like go cold turkey on it. Build the habit of like not having it as a digital pacifier. And I think I've done pretty good. I actually didn't even realize it had been 6 months. I just like checked like the last time I posted on my account was like, because I posted it and I deleted it. But yeah. Overall, like, I think it's made my life better. I feel happier than I was 6 months ago. I don't know if it's related to that, but yeah. Next, I had this, like, I don't know if I even thought of this, so I don't want to take credit, but it was like kind of like a question. Like, I love asking people questions. And it was, if you didn't have to sleep and you suddenly had thousands of more hours in your life, and these hours were alone, and you basically had to fill the time doing something, mastering something, what would you do? I think this is an interesting question, because it's basically, aka, I wish I could pursue this, but I don't have the time, or it's like, this would be such a luxury to pursue, like, I could never do this. I don't have the time in my life, basically. And for me, like, I think my big one thought was like podcasting, and like spending more time researching and learning, and like just like everything around it. And I'd love to be interviewing people more. Obviously, if it was like during sleeping hours. Like, it wouldn't be me interviewing people, but it would be me learning more and exploring it and recording more episodes and doing more solo stuff. And I think I like this question because it can be a sort of insecurity detector, because like some, like for me, like a little bit could be like, oh, like I'd love to like just go to the gym for an hour every day and like get stronger, but like I shouldn't be doing that anyway, is the answer. Like, I think that's why it's a fun insecurity detector, because you ask yourself the question and then you kind of can learn about yourself and be like, oh, I should set aside 30 minutes a day and do whatever the thing is. So I'm going to try and be better about pursuing the podcasting thing. And then also, like, just, I think the gym thing is can be a little bit of an insecurity of mine. But yeah, I think whatever your personal answer is, basically something that you should be intentionally carving more time out and doing. I think I like it as a thought exercise. I don't think I invented this, but if I did, then awesome. It's just like it's like a fun theoretical. But yeah. My next thing, so in my yoga class, we've been keeping a journal. Let me grab it. And it was just interesting little like activity that our professor or teacher had us do. And it was basically like, so you take a sheet of paper and you split it into 4 quadrants. And you have one quadrant is labeled cravings, one's labeled aspirations, one's labeled yearnings, and one's labeled needs. And so cravings, I don't have everything that she wrote, so this is very paraphrased. Like, basically cravings are just things that you want and like you think about, and like I basically wrote down like pretty like not deep things. Like, I wrote like Cool Ranch Doritos, Sour Patch watermelon, like a fall candle, like warmth. I don't know what. Like, I just kind of wrote like just like basic things, like not very deep, like things that you can easily seek and achieve, and like short-term happiness kind of things. Then aspirations, she described as like basically things that you want to do in your life that you feel are 90% possible. So I wrote a 50-mile race. I said happy marriage. I said successful podcast. I said 100-mile race. Maybe it's a little harder. I wrote my girlfriend Jules is an author. I said, and this one is also, I'll move this one up. I'll say this one after. And then I said living near family and friends and happy at work and career. And then next was yearnings. This is basically you think are 10% possible. So stuff that you feel is more far-fetched, but you still like kind of keep it in mind. For me, I would put the Barkley, the race that I always talk about. Definitely less than 10% chance, but I'll put it in the category. Working at Supercell, my dream company to work at. Then I'd say just like financial freedom was another one. And I wrote injury-free forever. I originally had that in aspirations. Not realistic, because obviously, as I've seen, it is a part of running and it's a part of life. And then needs, it's kind of like, it was like that tying together, like it fits in everything. The teacher said love, which I definitely agree with. I wrote down self-love just because, I don't know, I feel like the concept of, I mean, it does tie into love directly, but like, I think in order to feel love, you need to love yourself, or at least they go hand in hand. Like, I don't think you can be in love and not love yourself. I don't know. This could be my rose, whatever the saying is, like rose glasses seeing this from like a perspective of like having such a positive experience with love. But yeah, I mean, I like this thought exercise, and I think everyone should do it. And my yoga teacher was saying like she basically does it yearly. And yeah, it's like kind of like a way to track your goals and like keep things realistic, and understand the differences between everything is important. So yeah, I mean, I like this. I think it's a little bit vulnerable. I mean, even just sharing it and being like, these are my goals, like, but it feels better than like a New Year's resolution, because a New Year's resolution doesn't feel as, I don't know, it doesn't feel like you're categorizing it well. Like, it could be literally anything. It could be something so simple, and this one like kind of moves things in different categories, which I liked. So if anyone wants to do that exercise and share it with me, I'd love that. I love talking about this stuff. My next, I have a quote for this episode. So it's, joy and happiness are born of concentration. So this is from the monk book. I genuinely can't pronounce his name. I'm not even gonna try. I'll write his name in the description once again. It's the one that I was talking about earlier. But basically, he talks about how like, you can only truly enjoy something if you are in the moment. This kind of ties back to the staying present theme that I've kind of just had throughout this whole podcast series. But yeah, like, you can find joy in anything as long as you're concentrating in it and you're like ignoring everything else and you're being fully focused on that. I think it's great because it kind of shows like two sides. Like, one, like the value of just being present in good and bad and really just being there. And then the idea that you can make anything happy, like, or like even like the small things. Like, you can be pouring a glass of water and being like, wow, like, look at this is amazing, I'm alive. I don't know, I just really like it because it's like, it's focusing on the positivity in the world, and I think it's good. It's actually a funny transition because I have a lot of stuff, a lot of notes. The rest of this episode will be actually about hate and negativity, but I promise I'll have a good spin on it. So basically giving some background, and I don't know if you know me super well, you'll probably know some of the stuff. If you don't, you'll learn more about me, I guess. I used to be a very hateful person, especially as like a preteen, teen, and then a lot of self-hate, a lot of external hate. I was very insecure. I mean, a lot of teenagers are. But I had this like really just like festering hatred for a lot of stuff. I would say my foundational moment was, so I was, I guess, 9 or 10, and the Sandy Hook school shooting happened. I was not in the shooting at all. It was in a school about 20, 30 minutes away from me. But for me, obviously, this isn't me, like, this was a foundational moment for me. Obviously, like, nothing, my, like, sadness over this, obviously just not pale in comparison to anyone who actually experienced this. But as a 9-year-old, to me, it was kind of like my learning that negativity even exists, like, that evil exists. I think I'd been very, like, sheltered, and obviously I appreciate that I've had such a sheltered and beautiful childhood that I didn't even understand why this could occur. But it showed me that people are capable of evil and that evil exists. And I think this was the origin of my extreme levels of paranoia, and basically thinking that the shooting is going to occur every time I'm in public. People are hunting me, like, I'm going to die, I'm going to be killed. Like, this was like living in my head over and over and over and over and over, especially at night when I'd be trying to fall asleep as a kid. I had terrible sleep, terrible nightmares. I would be so scared. Literally, like, for years and years and years, this was a thing. This is also the origin of my kind of like anti-God stance, which I've had arguments with people about over the years. I basically just asked the question of, like, why did this happen? Like, why did God let the shooter kill all those kids? Like, obviously it sounds terrible, but I never got a satisfactory answer, and I was very black and white. I basically, like, I know it was like this idea of, like, free will. Obviously, I don't know anything about religion, so I would love for anyone listening to this to talk to me more about this, because I think it's just an interesting topic. But I basically just kind of answered it myself, and I just kind of chalked it up to, like, people do evil things to hurt other people, and I need to be on the lookout because people are going to try and harm me in my life. Obviously, this is terrible stuff for a 10-year-old to start out with, but this stuck with me for years and years and years, and still little bits of this. Like, sometimes I still feel like that 9-year-old boy who feels helpless and feels like, oh my gosh, like, why is there evil in this world? I don't know, I feel like it was the origin of my pessimism, my harboring hatred, and it was a foundational moment for, like, kind of like, this is when I felt like I couldn't be a kid anymore in a way. I think it's why, in a way, I'm trying to tap back into, like, my childhood self a little bit more recently, just because, I don't know, I felt so happy and I felt so carefree, and in this moment of learning that this even exists, like, really was pretty catastrophic for my development. And obviously, this, like I said, this doesn't compare to anyone who's actually experienced the shooting or has experienced the shooting at all. But I'm just saying that this was an origin of my pessimism and my hatred and my fear and my paranoia. And I can't even imagine what it was like for all the people who experienced that. And it's a real problem. It really is a huge problem in this country, and it makes me really, really, really sad. But yeah, I mean, I used to just harbor a lot of hatred in my life. I think even up until like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I harbored a lot of hatred. If someone did something mean to me or even slightly rude, I'd feel like just an intense hatred, and it would consume me, and I'd never forgive. I think I still struggle to be forgiving. I think I'm trying to be better about it. I think I'm slowly improving. I think I've made steps. I feel like I used to like literally always have at least one person that was like my enemy, even if they didn't even think I didn't like them. Like I would just hold this hatred in me. But I'd like proud to say I don't hate anyone right now. And I don't plan on hating anyone. It feels good for it not to take up real estate in my head. I always love talking about this saying. Like I just like talk to you about it. But like the idea of like a lot of time like hating someone is just like worse for you than it is for that like the person you actually hate. I basically, now that I don't have hatred, I don't have to worry about interacting with anyone. I don't have to feel anxious about like, oh my gosh, like I hope this person doesn't say the wrong thing to me. I think it's just like taking a breath and like really just like understanding like that the hate is probably not worth it. Obviously there's levels to this, and I just haven't had anyone do anything that terrible to me for me to ever warrant all the hatred I had in my life. But yeah, I mean, it's just like kind of like not leaving room for hatred. And basically that resentment doesn't solve anything. That action needs to solve it. So either if there's a level of resentment to the point of where it can't be recovered, I understand that. I'm not Mr. Everything needs to be forgiven. I think some things can't be forgiven. And I think a lot of things can't be forgiven. But I think little things, it's not worth holding resentment. And you either need to kind of rip the band-aid up. You need to get the person out of your life permanently and move on and not give them any hatred or any energy. Or you need to like try to forgive them, or at least try to work your way towards forgiving. It doesn't need to be an overnight thing. I think it's a process, and I think it's something that forgiveness is something I always sneered at for Christianity. And I always thought of it as stupid. Like I never understood why you could forgive someone and what and like how. And I don't know if I'm thinking it from the right direction, but basically just thinking of maybe it's a little bit of a selfish way to think of it, but it's like, why should I waste my time resenting someone? Just like leaving room for hate just kind of ends up hurting you. I can dislike, but I won't leave room for hatred. I think I still have this idea of there's certain things that I think are you can't be forgiven for, and I always have this discussion about the death penalty. Just kind of the idea that, to me, I don't know. I have this theory. I don't know if I've discussed this in an episode. I don't know. But basically, like, for high-profile cases, such as, like, school shooters, like, who are arrested on the scene, that's an important part, on the scene, I think the death penalty is the only answer for them. I don't think it's fair to even give them a life in prison. I know some people say that life in prison is worse than death. I don't think so. Obviously, I haven't experienced any of this. But to me, even if they can experience 1 moment, 1 second of love or positivity in their life after committing such an awful thing, I think it already makes it so why are they alive? And I know this is very cut dry and very anti-forgiveness, but obviously you can't forgive someone for something like this. Yeah, I don't know. I have this idea. Obviously, like, the death penalty has been critiqued for its issues of, like, falsely incriminating people and, like, falsely putting people to death. That is terrible. And I don't think the death penalty should be used for most cases, like 90, 95%, 99%. I think there are certain cases where it should be used, and resources shouldn't even be wasted on certain people. Like, if like that idea, I don't know, just like the idea that, like, if that person feels 1 single moment of positivity, if they smile even once and feel any happiness, they've already lived a better life than if they were dead. I know it's a really dark topic to dive into, but I know there's negativity and pessimism in my brain sometimes, and I think it's good to talk about it. But yeah, I've been pretty historically negative towards religion, especially organized religion. I don't feel that anymore. I don't feel any resentment towards religion anymore, and I don't feel religious. Like, I don't think I'm a religious person, but I realized I was displacing anger towards God and towards religion, and I think it really impacted my whole spirituality. But yeah, I think I'm more open to religion than I ever have been in my life. I still do feel like I am a pessimist a lot of the time, at least internally. Like, I kind of have to, like, train my brain and snap myself out of, like, thinking negatively. And I want to work on this, but at least externally, I feel like I've been a little bit better, and, like, not letting my negative thoughts come out and pushing myself towards positivity, because the mind automatically goes to negative right away for most things, which is not good, and I'm working on it. Yeah, that's my hatred and negativity segment of the episode. I don't know, I think it's I don't know if this stuff all made sense, but it really is a deeper dive into my mind and into how I'm working on myself and trying to make myself the best version of myself that I can be. Yeah. I guess I'll wrap up a little bit. It's gonna be a shorter episode. This is number 7 out of 10. So far so good. I definitely want to do some interviews. I'm gonna wait until probably it's gonna be towards the holiday season when I get a microphone set up that's good for 2 people. I still haven't told people at school about this. Failed my goal. I'm sorry. I want to dive into a little bit why, and I think I'm realizing that I'm not being true to myself. So I started this podcast with this whole thing and high horsey, maybe a little bit about like I'm finally pursuing what I've always wanted to pursue, but I'm also hiding it from. I mean, I've told some of my friends at home and a lot of my family knows, but am I really being true to the idea of pursuing my goals and not caring what people think? If I'm not telling people at school who are my friends, and I know my friends care about me, and I know there's not going to be any, like, it won't be a negative thing. It's just like this internal, like, monologue. So I'm going to tell at least 1 or 2 people by next episode, and I promise. I won't even record it until I tell at least 2 people. I'll write it down. And yeah, I mean, I don't know, in the future I could have friends on the podcast, and it would be awesome. My next topic switch, lastly, I don't know, I just wrote this down randomly. I said, so it started getting cold, and especially in my apartment, it gets freezing. Like, I like it being cold, like, I hate the heat inside. But I've been doing this tactic of tucking my sweatshirt into my pants, which looks so goofy. I only do it inside, mostly. Sometimes outside. But I don't, like, go to class with my sweatshirt tucked in my pants. But the mega warmth method of tucking your socks into your sweatpants, and then tucking your sweatshirt into your pants and wearing a hood and like tightening the hood, it's like the maximum oven warmth mode. It is amazing. So if anyone is looking for my pro tip, that's it. And then lastly, I've started really, really working on my goal of being able to sit crisscrossed fully comfortably. Fun fact, I can't at all. Super, super tight hips. It's bad. I don't really know what a realistic goal is, but I'm setting it for January 1st, 2025 to be able to like sit there for like a half hour, zero pain, fully comfortable. I don't know if that's realistic. We'll see. I'm going to work on it every day. I've added it into my routine. It takes like 50 something days to build a habit. So I'm like a weekend. And I'll just keep doing it. I have reminders on my phone. It's keeping me on time. Yeah, I mean, I guess now I'll just freestyle yap for a couple seconds. Big picture, I have this vision for this podcast that I want to basically build up an archive of just like solo episodes and little interviewing my family, and then I kind of want to branch out next semester and hopefully secure a couple interviews of like interesting people, or like maybe even like a professor of interest, or I don't know, just diving more and like getting more exposure with like actual interviews of like people who are very interesting, who I find interesting, that I want to interview. I love interviewing. I love listening to interviews. I love listening to podcast interviews. I love all of it, and I really want that to be the long-term vision for this. Obviously, super long-term vision. I would love this for it to be my full-time job. Not realistic right away, but it's going to be what I'm working towards. I want to have something that I can keep focusing on. I have my running for my physical and just like this sort of meditation practice. And then I'm going to have my podcast that I'll be pursuing. We're working on my stretching and flexibility and meditation. I'm really trying to become the best version of myself. And I really, every single day, want to do that. This year has been my yearly theme and focus, as I talked about in a previous episode, is like this physical discipline. But I'm going to bring that into the just discipline in general and just being better about like sticking to things. And I think I've been good about it, but especially for the podcast, I wanna focus. I wanna get my goal done for this year, and then maybe my next year's theme will be focused around the podcast. Who knows? but yeah, that's my little bit of yap. I mean, big picture, I'm just gonna keep grinding at this, and I like it. I really enjoy it. Even talking to myself in my room alone, which I'm doing right now, I still enjoy. So imagine how much I'll enjoy it when I'm actually talking to people, and when I have like a video version of the podcast that I'm posting on YouTube. And I don't know, who cares if it's successful or not. I mean, I enjoy it, and that's the first step to anything. So yeah, I don't really have anything else. A 40-minute episode, not bad. Yeah, I guess this is the end. Yeah, thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed. If you have any topics that you want to discuss or want to come on the podcast, just text me or leave a comment if you don't have my phone number. Assuming if you're listening to this, you do have my phone number. But yeah. Oh, and also for podcast growth, I know I do eventually have to add video if I want to actually get growth. For now, I'm just kind of getting reps in. But I know if I want to grow, I need video, I need TikTok, I need to make use of my advertising skills and really get it out there. But yeah, thank you for listening. If you made it this far, I appreciate you and thank you. And yeah, goodbye.